Hello, it's Councillor Jason Zadrozny. I'm leader of Ashfield District Council, and I'm here with my excellent colleague Matthew Relf, who is the portfolio holder for planning and for economic regeneration. And we're here to bring you what is going to be a really long video. It's not our normal 2 or 3 minutes. It might be half an hour or so, because we've got an enormous amount to talk about. As you know, Ashfield District Council was the most successful council in the whole UK this week when we secured £62.6 million for regeneration for Sutton and Kirby from the Towns Fund. Now there's loads of questions about that, about what will be happening with it, where it will be spent, how it will benefit the wider part of Ashfield District. And today, through this long video, Matt and I'll be asking Matt lots of questions because he's the man in the know. He's the one that's put the enormous work in with our fantastic officers here and with lots of other partners like the Discover Ashfield Board, West Notts College, the clinical commissioning groups, and even our MP, Lee Anderson. Matt's put all that work in. So thanks to the enormous amount of questions that residents across Ashfield have been asking, we'll be visiting some of those areas, interviewing some of the staff who've been involved, and trying our best to explain what is going to be the biggest change in Ashfield for a generation, Matt, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's huge and I'm so excited. Can't wait to show you all of these projects.
Stay tuned for an exciting video. So, by the magic of Richard and his camera, we are now at Kirby and Ashfield train station, which is the west end of Kirby. Matt, there's some enormous plans for this entrance, the gateway into the town. Can you take a second to talk us through some of these bits, please?
Absolutely. So this is known as the West Kirby Gateway project, where we're going to be refurbishing this whole entranceway to the station so that it becomes a more inviting place, make people more able to use the station. We've also been having meetings with the Department for Transport about introducing step-free access. That's not part of the Towns Fund, but is absolutely something we're working towards. Over here we've got the vacant site down there that we're going to be working to redevelop into a new residential and commercial space so that it's more inviting. And then out front here we're going to be having new bus pull-ins so that we can have much easier interaction between coming off the train and getting straight onto a bus.
So this is exciting stuff for this gateway coming in. Matt, just tell me a little bit about the other side of Kirby, sort of the Patco end, how that might redevelop, and then we might join in the middle of it.
Yes, so we've got another Kirby project over there, which is known as the Portland Sustainable Project, where we're going to be redeveloping that Portland Street area. So there's some derelict commercial properties there, and we wanted to bring that into a new vibrant residential area. So we've got more people right next to the town centre able to come in and use the shops that are on their doorstep.
Brilliant. So much to talk about. One of the things people are asking me about is the environmental stuff. It's one of the questions that people have asked a lot. What are we doing as a council as part of this to make sure it's all sustainable?
So yeah, with the Green Ashfield, we're already doing loads within Ashfield in terms of tree planting and tackling climate change. But within the Towns Fund, we've got projects that are going to be upgrading our offices so that we've got better use of green technologies, solar panels, so that we can reduce the carbon footprint of the council in our aim to get to a net zero economy.
So that's great, there's loads happening. Also, one of the biggest challenges here in Kirby and in Sutton, we've got loads and loads of empty shops, places that have been derelict for years and years. We've had some successes out of towns. What are we doing with the Towns Fund to solve that problem?
Yeah, so we're trying to concentrate our shops into the existing town centres we've got, rather than encouraging shops in outlying areas that perhaps aren't that well placed for shoppers to come in and gain access to them. So we've developed a high street a property fund where we're going to be buying up vacant shops in these areas, out at Stanton Hill, out at Puthway, but also out on Outram Street, which everybody is well aware of as an issue area. And so we're going to be buying those properties, doing high quality conversions into residential properties, and then letting them out and then selling them on so that we can then bring that money back in to do yet more shops and more of the same thing.
Thank you, Matt. So this is just the first section, just the first bit of exciting times. We've got loads of places across the district to look at about how this money's going to transform the rest of Ashfield, so please stay with us. Right, Matt, so we're now at Kingsway Park, and this is one of the flagship areas for the Kirby part of the Towns Fund to renovate sports facilities. Can you take a moment just to talk us through some of the exciting things that are happening here as well?
Yeah, we're going to be building brand new changing facilities here. There's going to be a new bowls pavilion here, and we're also going to be doing improvements to the grass pitches here as well.
Fantastic. And sporting's not just for Kirby, Sutton's having stuff as well.
Absolutely. We're refurbishing the 3G pitch that's there. We're building a brand new 3G pitch there. There's going to be a new pavilion there, new parking, and we're going to be refurbishing the tennis courts there too.
So that's all Sutton Lawn?
Yep.
Sutton Lawn, fantastic. And one of the other things in the health and well-being part of it is for a new health centre, health village, something like that in Kirby. Maybe you could just tell us how that might come together, where it's planned for, how it might look.
That's planned to be around the plaza area, which obviously we've already got a lot of health facilities there, but we're going to be building a brand new health facility there that we're going to take the existing providers over into. We're also going to be building new residential apartments behind that as well, and also out on the plaza there's going to be a new cafe with outside seating areas out onto the plaza, so that we can try and actually use that plaza as an interesting focal point once and for all.
Fantastic. Even more exciting things and still more to come. So Matt, we are now in Sutton at some of the bits I'm really excited about. So not just actual town centre regeneration, but some of the exciting things for people to do, leisure stuff. And we're at one of our massively underrated assets for Ashfield, the Sherwood Observatory. Can you tell us first about this one and what might transform here through this Towns Fund?
This is a brilliant project that the Sherwood Observatory Society have been working on for a while now. They've already got a brilliant facility here, but they're looking to expand it. With next to here would be a brand new planetarium with incredible projection screen space there, but also there's going to be classroom space there as well, so that all the local schools in the area, all across Ashfield, across Mansfield, all will be able to come here and do some brilliant learning.
I think it's great. I'd love this. My dad would have loved this. He always had a little telescope, but this is, I mean, something regionally special. It's not, there's nothing like this in Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire at all. So I think this is fantastic. So this is definitely somewhere that's going to be a fantastic place to come and bring children, or as Matt says, through educational stuff. One of the other great spots is Kingsmill Reservoir, which is just over there. You can't see it, but trust me, it's just over there. Massive regeneration of that, exciting stuff. We've already started, people have seen the new visitor centre, but the Towns Fund now gears this up again, doesn't it? Absolutely.
So we're wanting to develop that further so that we've got more sports activities there, so we can get more people being able to get out on the water, doing exciting activities out there and really getting active in the area. But also, not only the people living here, it will be a great tourism destination for people to come in and use and find out that Ashfield is a brilliant place to be.
Absolutely. We want people to come here. We want them to spend their money in our town centres so that they are ever more vibrant. And for my friend Tony, who keeps texting me about what can we do on the water, this is it. We're starting. There's a massive plan, so we're dead excited. But Matt, if you're not from Ashfield, or even if you are and you want to explore some of these great things, how are we going to link people up so they know how to cycle here or how to get around and what's on offer? Because it's all Ashfield, isn't it? This is not just Sutton and Kirby. If you're Hucknall or Selston or anywhere else, you can enjoy all this stuff.
Absolutely. Another project within the bid is a new digital offer that we're going to have, a new website, and also on your phone, that's going to show you all the cycling, walking routes, all the places like this and the reservoir that you can come to, that can really get you involved in the local area. And a big part of that also is going to be heritage, celebrating the great history we've got in the area. And this isn't going to be just for Sutton and Kirby. This is going to cover the whole of Ashfield, so it's going to be celebrating all the history of Hucknall with Byron, all the way across the area.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know Matt and I are unashamedly geeky, so we love the history bit, but sadly it's not celebrated. And there's loads of stuff, as Matt says, from the south of Hucknall right up to Hardwick Hall in the north. There's a huge trail of historic things that we should be dead proud of, and linking them up so that you can visit them, we can see them, and we can sell them as things we should be proud of for people to come and look at is a great thing. Before we finish this section, Matt, what about Portland Square? What about Sutton Town Centre? What's happening there?
Sutton Town Centre, we're obviously the town centre itself, the Portland Square, is looking a little run down, and we've already got through the Accelerated Fund. We're going to be working on the Fox Street area where there's a derelict piece of ground there. That's going to be turned into a new car park with pop-up food stalls that can go there, but also as part of the full Towns Fund, we're going to be renovating Portland Square itself and really bringing that up to being the place it should be, getting some great greenery into the town centre as well. So that's going to link through to the Fox Street development, so there's great access through and into the town centre from the Asda car park, inviting people in. And just picking up on the point you were talking about trails as well, another part of this bid is going to be developing further the footpaths and cycleways that we've got in the area and extending these further so that there are more off-street ways to get around the area, so that you can commute to work via them, but also you can get out for leisure and to come and visit places just like this.
That's exciting. I love that, and I particularly love that not just the green thing in Sutton won't just be the sundial anymore. We might see the back of that and have some real greenery instead. So again, Matt, thank you for this. It's massive and exciting. So, one of the most important things about the Towns Fund is that we don't just spend this money once and it's gone. We want to set a legacy for future generations. So it's not just winning the lottery and splashing it out. This is about spending that money wisely so we change Ashfield for the next 40 or 50 years. And one of the ways we do that is by creating jobs, well-paid jobs that people can aspire to right here in our district. And of course, those jobs don't have boundaries. So today we're working with our fantastic partners at West Notts College. Now, Matt, look, I think this is about as technical as I'm going to get here today, but we're at the fantastic robotics lab here in Sutton in Ashfield. Just explain to us a little bit about some of the vision about how we change jobs and the economy locally.
Yeah, so we're in their new robotics lab, which, as you can see, is still in the stage of construction, because they've recently got some brilliant funding for this from the local enterprise partnership to start doing robotics courses here. And this ties in brilliantly with what we're doing in the Towns Fund. The centrepiece of our Towns Fund bid is the Automated Distribution and Manufacturing Centre. This is going to be a big national centre right here in Ashfield that is going to be helping promote the skills and the knowledge around how to use automation to help your distribution businesses and your manufacturing businesses. The intention of this is, rather than let automation be a threat to jobs in this area, let's make it an opportunity for this area, so that everybody in the area can benefit from these new technologies coming along rather than losing their jobs to it. And so this is going to be a huge influence to the whole region. There are going to be businesses coming all from across the East Midlands right to here, Ashfield, to learn the skills, connect with the suppliers, and hopefully employ the students who are coming out of this very facility here.
That's right. I mean, we've always said Ashfield's got a fantastic workforce, but what we needed to do was create the opportunity for people to work here in well-paid, well-trained jobs, and I think that's what we do. But we're doing other things with West Notts College as well.
Absolutely. We've got the new joint construction college, which is going to be in collaboration with Vision West Notts, with ATTFE College and Inspire, that's going to bring into Sutton a new, better facility that's going to be training the level 1 and 2 courses in a centralised location, so that it frees up more capacity at West Notts' existing college campus, so that they can be training even more students in these skills, so that we can do even more. And as well as that, we've also got West Notts' new civil engineering centre that's going to be coming, where they're going to be training students on how to be out onto building sites, and also out on working on railways as well is going to be there, which also, should HS2 continue through, which we're really hoping it will, they're going to be the skills right here to build that. So that's a fantastic facility as well.
I think this is one of the most important parts of this, because as I said, it's all right getting this money and just splashing it out on new shop fronts. What we want to do is something that lasts for years and years and years, and that's why we want to have good, well-paid jobs in Ashfield for all of our residents and our young people, and that starts here right now. But it's even broader than that. There's more opportunities, there's more chances to change that. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit more, Matt.
Yeah, so we're also helping existing businesses with a huge package of support measures that's going to be delivered via Nottingham Trent University, who are going to be able to support businesses and add all sorts of training opportunities, so that the existing businesses here can learn new skills to expand their businesses and employ more people.
amazing. Again, this is the start. It's like planting an acorn because it'll take a while, but we're here with plenty of young people who are those acorns, and we're growing something really strong here in Ashfield. So we're stopping just for a quick stop at Sutton Library because there's some exciting work at the libraries in Sutton and Kirby as well, isn't there?
There absolutely is. So both Sutton and Kirby libraries we're going to be spending some money to help inspire, refurbish them so that they become new digital hubs. So they're going to be helping the people of Ashfield be able to learn new digital skills, be able to come and access digital equipment and the internet so that they can get online and start learning better ways of interacting with banks, booking appointments, all of those sorts of great things.
Brilliant. Extra work here as well, so it's a whole rounded project, as you can see. Right, Matt, so we're in the Sutton Theatre, Sutton Academy Theatre, one of the spaces that's going to get renovated, rejoiced and turned back into something that the community can love. It's a bit of a comeback in time for me because it's a long time since I worked in the theatre here. So one of the questions I want to ask you is that, of course, there's a long process for the Towns Fund. It's going to take a while to get those plans sorted, approved, consulted on and then delivered. But people are already seeing things happening, and that's because we were really successful in the Future High Streets Fund, a different fund, and accelerated towns funding. So we've got lots of little pots of money that are already being spent. So I wondered if you could take a minute to talk us about some of those projects, and because we're in the theatre first, maybe this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to the £62.6 million that we got through the Towns Fund, we also got £1.5 million through the Accelerated Fund and £6.7 million through the Future High Streets Fund. Lots of big numbers, it's wonderful. And as Jason said, the Sutton Theatre here is one of the projects that we've included in our Future High Streets Fund. That's already gone through the lengthy process of validating all the funding for this, and we're now at this point of where we're starting to get rolling with this project. So this is going to become a new upgraded theatre that's also going to be a cinema space, a music venue space. There's going to be new facilities outside for bar, restaurant as part of the building so that it becomes a safe space away from the school as well. And it's just going to be a brilliant community-faced project for all sorts of people to be able to come in and enjoy.
I think that's really great. It's time the arts were brought back in as well, and we've got nice places to enjoy. So this is this part of Sutton, the top end there. Now as we go through Low Street and down towards the centre where we talked a little bit earlier about the square, the sundial and those bits and pieces, what's happening through the Towns Fund and those projects down there?
Yeah, so both as part of Future High Streets Fund and Towns Fund, we're giving some love to Low Street, which is obviously looking a little sad and tired these days. And so we're buying some properties down there that we're going to be renovating. We're going to have some great quality apartments upstairs to try and get some life of people living back in the town centre. And downstairs there's going to be commercial offerings, which could still be shops, but also can be offices and other opportunities there as well.
Perfect. So let's keep travelling down there. Then we get to the market square. There's the big derelict bit which used to be the Conservative Club behind Fox Street. That's part of the plan as well, to renovate that there over the river bit.
Yes, so we're going to be turning that into a brand new car park, and which can also be repurposed for pop-up events. The stream next to there is also going to be opened up and made pretty, but it's going to be a really green space as well, so it invites people into the town centre.
Perfect. So that's the town centre, but I also know through this accelerated funding of Future High Streets funding, the Makerspace project. Now, I know that not many people know exactly what that is, but it's a really exciting thing for all of those people who are arts and crafty or want to do all sorts of projects, and I know Matt's dead passionate about it. So that's going to be up on High Pavement, isn't it?
Well,
around there.
It's around that area,
Yeah.
yes, and we're just in the final stages of sorting all of that out. But that's going to be a new space where you'll be able to come in and just pay a monthly fee to be a member of that, and you'll get access to all sorts of tools, be them woodworking tools, metalworking tools, 3D printers, laser cutters, sewing machines, all sorts of stuff, so that anybody who's wanting to learn a new skill or doesn't have the space at home or the ability to afford these tools will be able to come in and use them and have a real sense of community in there as well.
Great, that's fantastic. So lots and lots that will be happening very soon, and you'll see because there's one project already that we have been talking around, and you'll be able to see the fencing around it in Kirby in Ashfield, which is the new Moor Market. That's one of the accelerated projects as well. So we'll be able to see these projects happening now while we're waiting for the Towns Fund to actually land in our bank account. So Matt, just talk us through Moor Market, because that's, as we went there this morning, moving really fast, and that's looking dead exciting.
It's looking fantastic. So we've taken 3 vacant shops that are there, and we're going to be knocking them through into one brilliant indoor market that we're just about to put out a call very soon for people who might want to move into there, who are looking to have a more permanent home for their market offering or looking to expand their business. It's going to be a really great, vibrant space right on the high street.
It's dead exciting. And one of the things I do want to say, we keep saying this, Matt and I will be talking about this right at the end, that this has been a big partnership deal. But here, obviously, we want to say a big thanks to the Sutton Academy Trust, who have been really supportive, and we're dead pleased to work with them, because for the students here, but also for Ashfield wider, this is going to be a massive, massive benefit. So a huge thank you to them for working with us on this.
Okay, I'd really like to introduce you to Sarah Daniel. She's our service manager for Place and Wellbeing team and an absolute hero of this bid. She and her team have gone above and beyond with this, and the amount of effort and talent that they've brought to this is incredible, and so she absolutely deserves our praise. Thank you very much. So Sarah, can you explain to everyone how we've got to today? What's the timeline that we've gone through to reach here?
Back in 2019, late in the year, the government announced that it was selecting 101 towns to benefit from Towns Fund investment, where towns could access up to £25 million per town, and Kirby and Sutton were both selected for that process. Since that time, we've been working closely with partners from the Discover Ashfield board and also ward members for Kirby and Sutton, and we've been developing the plans. Following a period of consultation with the public, we came up with a short list of projects, which we then developed further, and in the end we've got 17 projects which are going to be taken forward.
And I think it's worth pointing out that public consultation was the most responded to public consultation the council's ever had. You guys really got behind this, and I want to thank you for that. So in terms of next steps, where do we go from here?
So we now have 3 weeks to accept the heads of terms which the government have issued to us, and then in the next 2 months we've got some work to do around preparing the documents we need to submit to the government, and then following that we've got 12 months to develop our business cases for each of the projects.
Yeah, and this is because it's a very rigorous process to make sure that the money is being spent in the right way. So while this is fantastic news now, you might have to wait a little longer before you see some of these projects come to fruition, but in the meantime we've obviously got the Future High Streets Fund stuff coming. So can you just explain a bit more detail about the town selection? Because you mentioned Kirby and Sutton were selected. Who actually chose them, and what did that mean in terms of money for the whole of Ashfield?
So the government undertook some analysis, I understand, of the whole country, areas of deprivation, and from that they selected the 101 towns. So they're spread across the country in different areas, and like I say, Kirby and Sutton were 2 of the towns selected.
By the government?
By the government.
Yeah. So in terms of what the money can be spent on, we obviously bandy around terms like capital and revenue quite a bit here. What does that actually mean? Because this is a capital-heavy funding stream, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Revenue is extremely limited. The government have said that from the very beginning. So really, it's a focus on capital investment into physical infrastructure. So, for example, buildings.
Yeah. So it means we've got to build things. Unfortunately, we're limited on terms of employing people. It is really about building new facilities for the things. Thank you very much for your time, Sarah.
Thank you, Matt.
So, Matt, it's been a bit of a whirlwind trip, and we've had lots of questions from members of the public on our Facebook about a couple of things, and I think it'd be really great if we can answer a couple of those questions, and you're the expert, so I'm coming to you. So, we did just say that it would take a bit of a while for some of the larger projects to come on. A couple of the questions are, how long till we start seeing some of that investment, some of the changes, and what will that likely to be?
Okay, so some of the smaller projects will definitely be able to start this year, but that's only start. You won't see the end results of that until probably next year. But some of the bigger projects, it's going to take till next year to to do all the planning that's needed to get them going, and so it will be next year before the bigger stuff starts kicking off.
Yeah, of course. People, I think, recognise it'll take a while. They're just keen, like we are, to see it going. Of course, we've spoke about, and in the list of things that are out, about 17 projects that the government have approved. And I think we should just dwell on that for a minute, because a couple of questions are, what is that money going to be spent on? And we've had a bit of a whirlwind tour, but the government have specifically approved it for those projects, haven't we? So we've not got much flexibility outside of those.
No, as we said earlier, the government set really strict guidelines of the types of things that this could be spent upon. We then had to put together projects which they would then assess whether they met those criteria, and we've clearly done very well on that because we've had the full allocation. But therefore that money now needs to be spent on those projects and not other things. Okay,
because loads of people are saying to us, great, lots of money, we're resurfacing all the roads, and of course we can't do that.
No, I mean, for one thing, that's obviously something that Notts County Council look after rather than Ashfield District Council, but also it's absolutely outside the bounds of what the government stipulated for this fund. If we'd put in an application into the Towns Fund bid for resurfacing of roads, it just would not have been approved.
Yeah, I think we all know that the criteria is strict, but I think people just want to know exactly what we can spend it on. So one of the other things that people are asking then is, how wide are we spending it? So those 17 projects are in Sutton and Kirby, but the benefits are for Ashfield and maybe even wider. So maybe I think it might be good if you could explain which sort of things are more Ashfield wide than just Sutton or Kirby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things that the government were really strict upon, of setting physical boundaries around the towns that they had selected where we could spend the money. We'd have dearly loved to have spent the money down in Hucknall and the rurals as well to share this, but that wasn't allowed, and therefore we were really careful to try and select projects that would benefit a broader area of things. So as we've talked about, for instance, the the Automated Distribution and Manufacturing Centre, that has a huge region of scope. That is across the East Midlands and nationally. We've got things like the Construction College and the Civils College. They're going to be drawing in students from all over Ashfield, Mansfield, surrounding areas as well. The digital visitor offering, that's going to benefit the whole of Ashfield. That isn't just Sutton and Kirby. There's so many of these projects, like the tourism stuff around Kingsway Reservoir,
the observatory,
all of these things are going to be brilliant offerings that people out in Selston and the rurals and down in Hucknall will be able to benefit from.
Yeah, and I would just like to say as well that just because the government have set that criteria very strictly, we've definitely not, as an administration of the council, forgotten about Hucknall or Selston, Jacksdale, Underwood. We're very keen to make sure that the levelling up that happens everywhere. So of course we're doing massive investment in Selston Country Park this year. We've already done a huge swathes over the parks and play areas in the rurals, but that is to continue. We've got massive funding going into Titchfield Park in Hucknall as well. You'll have seen major work, but that's almost £1 million worth of work. We've done huge resurfacing of Piggins Croft, and we're working with the CCG on improving the health facilities in Hucknall. We worked very closely with our friends at Arc Cinema to make sure that that was renovated, and of course that's a huge boon for Hucknall. So we're definitely not forgetting about those areas. This bit has been very strictly guided, but of course for us as politicians, we want to reassure everybody that we care about Ashfield as a whole, and we'll be working very hard on that.
Can I just come in on that? Because one other thing that the government announced after the Towns Fund was yet another fund called the Levelling Up Fund.
Yes.
And that is something that I've already met with Mark Spencer, the MP for Hucknall, to see what sort of bid we can put in for Hucknall for that as well.
Yeah, so we're not forgetting about you, it's just sometimes we have to do things in order, and we are doing this thing in order because this is a massive success. So I think one of the things we do want to say as well is this is the start of a process and not the end. And all through this, over the next coming months and years, we intend for the council to consult very heavily with the public, talk to you a lot about what's coming up, because, as Matt said a number of times, you, the public, have got behind this bid in massive numbers, and Matt said earlier on, it's the biggest public consultation responses from residents of Ashfield ever to the council. So we know how excited you are to see the tired town centres regenerated, and you want to be a part of that. And of course, there's loads of other things happening that we'll keep you on board with as well, like the huge leisure facilities in Hucknall and in Kirby. So we're going to keep this conversation running for a long time. Now I want to particularly pay a couple of thanks as we get towards the end of this video. Firstly, a massive thank you to you for sitting through a very long and detailed video. I hope you appreciate why it's longer than normal, because there's so much to tell you. I want to pay a huge thank you to our staff, Sarah Daniel, who was in the video before, who's the team manager there, but also Paul Crawford and all the place team who wrote the massive bid. It was a massive bid. It was too big for us to email. It was such a huge bid, and they've been working on that, as they've said, since July 2019. There's been many sleepless nights. I want to thank all of the businesses and organisations that we've been talking about throughout this video today, like West Notts College, like Sutton Academy, like our colleagues at the Observatory, and particularly Martin Wrigley and all of the board at Discover Ashfield who supported the bid in massive numbers. But for me, and I know you won't like it, I want to pay a massive thank you to Matt, not least for answering all my daft questions, not just today, but for the last 2 years, but for driving this forward. He's worked entirely selflessly to make sure that we had an apolitical bid that was run by us, but that got supported by the government nationally, because it was such an excellent piece of work. And to end that as well, I think we need to recognise that once that bid was done and finished, that our MP, Lee Anderson, who's not of my party, took the bid to Parliament and supported it as well. So that teamwork, led by Matt, supported by so many, has meant that we're in this position today. And like I say, there's lots and lots of exciting times to come, and we will definitely be keeping you up to date with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.